Chapter 60:15. After confirming that the $20 billion had arrived, Helena looked at Simon and said with a smile, "Mr. Rothschild, the money has been received. Happy cooperation. I will return to Europe in 2 days. I hope that when I arrive, your AI team will also arrive at the same time." Simon blurted out without hesitation, "Don't worry, Your Majesty the Queen. I will ask them to prepare immediately and go over early to do preliminary planning and preparations." When Helena succeeded in selling the blood-spreading pill for $60 billion plus a set of AI models, Steve, 20 meters away from the ward door, and his son Royce, who had just arrived, were anxiously looking at the time. In his opinion, the old father's meeting with Helena took a little too long. It was not that he had any objections to the meeting between the two, but mainly because he was worried that it would delay the family meeting later. After all, the meeting officially begins at 10 o'clock. And that will be a critical moment for him to reach the highest peak of his life. At such an important time, why can't they get a wheelchair before 9:30 and push the old man to the venue in a hurry? Today is a great day for me to succeed as the patriarch of the family, and of course, they don't want to delay it for a minute. When he was anxious, the ward door opened. Helena walked out of the ward. Seeing this, Steve quickly ran over to Royce. After all, he was also concerned about whether the old man could persuade Helena to marry into the family. If she could be convinced, then wouldn't Helena be his future daughter-in-law? The medical staff behind him also ran over quickly. They were worried about the old man's health. The old man couldn't speak well and it was accompanied by hemiplegia and convulsions. In this case, it was not suitable to talk too much. But they didn't expect him to chat with Helena for so long. So they had to go and see the old man's current body. If there is any problem, it will be troublesome. However, before the two groups of people reached the door of the ward, a scene appeared that made them feel like they were struck by lightning. Helena turned back to the door and said, "Mr. Rothschild, there is no need to see me off." Immediately afterward, old Simon's figure walked out of the door as if nothing happened. As he walked, he was polite to Helena, "It is a great honor for us that Her Majesty, the Queen, came to New York to see me in person. As the head of the Rothschild family, how could I not send you off in person?" Steve, Royce, and the medical staff almost all standing there froze on the spot. Everyone is asking themselves a question, what on earth is going on? Steve was also dumbfounded and thought to himself, yeah, what the H3LL is going on? Wasn't the old man lying on the bed shivering just now? He was stumbling when talking. Why now? Why can't you suddenly see nothing wrong now? Are you coming back to your senses? Steve was a little suspicious of the world and rubbed his eyes. After making sure he saw it right, he didn't bother to think about what was going on. He just took a few steps. He ran up to help Simon and said nervously, "Father, why did you come out on your own? Your current physical condition can't bear the torment." Before Steve could finish speaking, Simon interrupted happily. "Steve, let me tell you some good news. My body is fine now. Everything is healed. The stroke, partiality, stuttering, and shaking are all gone. Surprise or not? This is simply a medical miracle, ha ha ha." What? So, it's cured now?" Steve was horrified, feeling as if his brain CPU had been burned by the old man's words. He thought to himself, what's going on? Is he cured? Is he? Didn't the doctor say it was a stroke? Hemiplegia. Moreover, the speech nerve has been seriously affected, making it difficult to fully recover. And the doctor also said, after all, it's almost impossible to recover from nerve damage. Even if you actively participate in the best rehabilitation treatment in the world, you will only be a little better than you are now. If you can return to walking on crutches, it is already a blessing by God. Thinking of this, he turned to look at the attending doctor. His face has question marks and "fuck you uncle" written all over it. In fact, the attending doctor was even more confused at this time. Not to mention the CPU, it even burned out the memory and motherboard. He felt that all these years of medical skills he had learned were in vain. After practicing medicine for so many years and most of my life. Who the H3LL has ever seen someone who just had a stroke, turned around and walked around numbly? The key point is that the old man was polite to the Queen. He was dancing, eloquent, and energetic. Even he couldn't compare himself to him. He could only push up his glasses and say in ignorance and surprise, "Medical miracle. This is the real medical miracle. Anyone who can cure a stroke will be honored by the Nobel Prize." Steve heard this. He wanted to kick him to the other end of the corridor and curse it in his heart. "You BA5 tard, you know miracles with just one mouthful. Don't I fking know it's a miracle? Do you even need to say that?" Simon saw Steve's eyes widen and speechless. He was a little moved and a little ashamed and said, "Steve, good son, thank you for your filial piety. Her Majesty the Queen was moved by your filial piety and brought me the special medicine. After receiving the special medicine to treat stroke, I am now cured." Steve looked at Helena with a confused look on his face and subconsciously asked, "Her Majesty the Queen, what the H3LL is going on?" "Who?" Helena smiled slightly, looked at Steve, and said earnestly, "Mr. Routhchild, this is the miracle you prayed to God, and God answered you. The miracle arrived. Your mother." Steve's expression was stunned, and his face was even sadder than his dead son. He thought to himself, I didn't really ask God to fking ask me." Helena saw that his expression was a little painful, and she couldn't control it anymore. She was afraid that Simon would be suspicious of the control, so she said with a serious face, "Mr. Routhchild, don't be too surprised. Remember, Matthew chapter 7, verse 7, says, 'Ask, and it will be given to you. Seek, and you will find, knock, and the door will be open to you.' This is God's kindness to believers." Helena said again, "Even in the most difficult moments of my life, I still insisted on praying to God every day, and encouraged myself with this verse, telling myself that God would never abandon me. So, I ushered in the opportunity of life, achieved a reversal in life, and became the Queen of Northern Europe. So, please remember that God will not let you walk alone."